brain functions as a dense network of fiber pathways consisting of around 100 billion neurons. It is through this network of neurons that learning happens. To get a clear understanding of this, let's break it down to the fundamental structures that make up the brain, the neurons. They consist of three main parts: the soma, which is the cell body, the dendrite, which is the input end of the neurons, and the axon, which is the output end. In between each neuron, sensory information is transmitted by synapses along neural pathways and stored temporarily in the short-term memory, a volatile region of the brain that acts like a receiving center for the flood of sensory information we encounter in our lives. Once processed in short-term memory, the information is carried through neural pathways to the structural core of the brain, where they are compared with existing memories and stored in our long-term memory, a vast repository of everything we have ever experienced in our lives.
Information is passed along the myelin sheath of the axon onto the axon terminals, where neurotransmitters are emitted to aid the learning process. The most important neurotransmitters during the learning process are glutamate, acetylcholine, and dopamine. Glutamate is associated with learning and memory, while acetylcholine is involved in wakefulness and attentiveness. Dopamine plays a central role in positive reinforcement and dependency.
Neural networks mimic the way brains learn. They consist of thousands of neurons or nodes, which are the core processing units of the network. All networks contain an input layer, where data is received, at least one hidden layer, where values of data are processed, an activation layer for nonlinear transformations, such as with images, and with the output layer, where predicted results are gathered. These layers are connected by channels between nodes, analogous to biological neurons. Each of these channels is assigned a numerical value known as the weight, which are multiplied with the value of the input. A summation of these values are passed along each layer through the channels and go through the activation layer. The activation function computes a number that determines whether the node gets activated or not. The activated neurons transfer data through channels to the next, and they're collected at the output layer where prediction is made based on these values. This is called the forward propagation. How does the network learn from wrong predictions? The value of the predicted output is compared with the value of the actual output. The magnitude of this error is then transferred back into the network in a process called backward propagation. Based on this information, the weights are adjusted recursively to create better predictions. Autonomous driving is an application of neural networks. Machine learning algorithms in self-driving cars continuously render the surrounding environment and predict possible changes to these surroundings. Other examples of neural networks include spam filtration, facial recognition, and voice-to-text functionality.